Imagine a system so critical to your survival that it activates every single night. Not because you consciously turn it on, not because you decide to initiate it, but because your brain knows that without it, toxic waste would slowly accumulate inside your skull. This system is the brain's internal cleaning network, the glymphatic system. And as we explored in the previous video, this system works like a biological pressure washer, flushing harmful metabolic waste out of neural tissue while you sleep. But there is something even more fascinating about this process. The brain does not clean itself throughout the entire night. Instead, the cleaning system turns on only during a very specific stage of sleep, a stage controlled by a unique electrical rhythm inside the brain. A rhythm known as slow-wave sleep. And without this rhythm, the brain's most powerful cleaning system never fully activates. To understand why this matters, we first need to understand how sleep actually works. Sleep is not a single uniform state. It is a cycle composed of several different stages, each with its own pattern of brain activity. When you first fall asleep, the brain enters light sleep, where neural activity begins to slow but remains relatively active. As sleep deepens, brainwaves become slower and more synchronized. Eventually, the brain enters the deepest stage of sleep, known as slow-wave sleep. This stage is characterized by massive electrical oscillations called delta waves. These waves move slowly across the brain, rising and falling like ocean tides. Unlike the chaotic electrical patterns of wakefulness, slow-wave sleep creates a state of remarkable neural synchronization. Large populations of neurons begin firing together. Then they briefly fall silent together. Then they fire again. This rhythm repeats across the cortex. It is as if the entire brain is breathing in electrical pulses. But these slow waves are doing something even more important. They are activating the brain's cleaning system. To understand how, imagine the brain as a dense forest of neurons. Between these neurons are tiny microscopic spaces filled with fluid. During the day, these spaces are extremely narrow. Neurons are active. Astrocytes, the brain's support cells, are swollen with metabolic activity. And the brain's internal environment is tightly packed. This makes it difficult for large volumes of fluid to move through the brain. But when slow-wave sleep begins, something remarkable happens. Neural activity drops dramatically. Astrocytes begin to shrink, and the spaces between neurons expand. This expansion creates channels that allow cerebrospinal fluid to move through the brain tissue. But the expansion alone is not enough to drive fluid flow. The real engine of the cleaning process is the slow electrical rhythm itself. Recent neuroscience research has revealed that slow brain waves actually coordinate the movement of fluid inside the brain. Each slow wave is accompanied by a powerful pulse of cerebrospinal fluid entering the brain. When neurons briefly fall silent during the wave, blood flow in the brain decreases. This drop in blood volume creates space inside the skull. And into that space rushes cerebrospinal fluid. This fluid surge travels through perivascular channels, microscopic pathways that run alongside blood vessels. As the fluid enters brain tissue, it begins to mix with interstitial fluid, the liquid surrounding neurons. This mixture captures metabolic waste produced during the day, proteins, chemical byproducts, fragments of cellular debris. The fluid then carries these waste molecules away through drainage pathways that eventually lead out of the brain. In effect, every slow brainwave helps push a new pulse of cleaning fluid through neural tissue. Wave after wave, pulse after pulse. The brain rinses itself. Scientists have been able to visualize this phenomenon using advanced brain imaging techniques. In several groundbreaking studies, researchers measured both electrical brain activity and cerebrospinal fluid movement simultaneously. What they discovered was astonishing. Whenever slow-wave activity increased, fluid movement through the brain increased dramatically. Large pulses of CSF could be seen entering the brain immediately after each slow electrical wave. It was as if the brain waves themselves were acting like pistons in a pump. Each electrical oscillation helped drive the hydraulic flow of fluid through neural tissue. Without these waves, the pump slowed down. And when slow-wave sleep was disrupted, the cleaning process became far less efficient. This discovery reveals something profound. Sleep is not just a neurological state, it is a fluid, mechanical process. Electrical rhythms inside the brain directly influence how fluid moves through neural tissue. The brain's electrical activity and its cleaning system are deeply interconnected. And this means that the quality of your sleep directly determines how effectively your brain can remove toxic waste. One of the most important substances removed during this nightly cleaning cycle is beta-amyloid. Beta-amyloid is a protein fragment that forms naturally during neural activity. Under normal conditions, the glymphatic system clears these fragments from the brain. But when beta-amyloid begins to accumulate, it can form sticky plaques that interfere with neural communication. These plaques are one of the defining features of Alzheimer's disease. And several studies have found that poor sleep may accelerate the accumulation of beta-amyloid in the brain. In experiments where participants were deprived of deep sleep for just one night, levels of beta-amyloid in the brain increased measurably. This suggests that slow-wave sleep may be one of the brain's primary defenses against toxic protein buildup. The brain does not simply rest during deep sleep, but the role of slow-wave sleep goes beyond removing protein fragments. This stage of sleep also helps regulate the chemical balance of the brain. During wakefulness, neurons release a molecule called adenosine. Adenosine gradually accumulates throughout the day as neurons burn energy. As levels rise, adenosine creates the sensation of sleep pressure, the growing urge to sleep. During deep sleep, the brain begins clearing adenosine from neural tissue. This reset allows neurons to function efficiently the next day. If adenosine is not cleared properly, cognitive performance begins to decline. Reaction time slows. Memory formation becomes less efficient. Mental clarity fades. In other words, slow-wave sleep is not only cleaning the brain physically, it is resetting the brain chemically. Modern life, however, is not particularly friendly to slow-wave sleep. Artificial lighting can delay melatonin production. Late-night screen exposure can shift circadian rhythms. Caffeine consumption can block adenosine receptors, delaying the onset of sleep pressure. Stress hormones such as cortisol can fragment sleep cycles, and sleep disorders like sleep apnea can repeatedly interrupt deep sleep. Each of these factors reduces the amount of slow-wave sleep a person experiences. And when slow-wave sleep decreases, the brain's cleaning system becomes less efficient. Fluid flow weakens. Waste removal slows. The internal environment of the brain becomes more chemically crowded. Over time, this imbalance may contribute to cognitive decline, but the brain is remarkably resilient. And understanding how this system works gives us powerful insight into how to protect it. Several lifestyle factors have been shown to enhance slow-wave sleep. Regular physical activity improves sleep depth. Consistent sleep schedules help stabilize circadian rhythms. Cooler nighttime temperatures promote deeper sleep stages. And reducing exposure to artificial light before bed can support melatonin release. Even subtle changes in behavior can influence how effectively the brain enters slow-wave sleep. And because slow-wave sleep drives the glymphatic cleaning system, improving sleep quality may directly improve brain maintenance. The more scientists learn about sleep, the more it becomes clear that sleep is not simply a passive state of rest. It is a highly coordinated biological process. Electrical rhythms synchronize neurons, Fluid pulses wash through brain tissue. Metabolic waste is removed. Neural chemistry resets. And the brain prepares itself for another day of thought and learning. Without slow-wave sleep, this entire process begins to fail. The pump weakens, the rinse slows, and the brain's internal environment becomes progressively more polluted. Every night, your brain faces a simple but profound task. It must decide whether to remain in a state of constant activity, or enter a rhythm that allows it to clean itself. Slow-wave sleep is the switch that makes that decision. When the waves begin, the cleaning system activates. Fluid flows, toxins leave, and the brain restores its delicate balance. But when the waves fail to appear, the pump remains silent, and the brain's most powerful maintenance system never begins. In the next video, we will explore what happens when the brain's cleaning system begins to slow down over time. We will examine how aging affects the glymphatic system, why the efficiency of this system gradually declines, and how this decline may contribute to neurodegenerative diseases. Because the story of brain health is not just about neurons, it is about the hidden systems that protect them.